Hello everybody, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we have Netflix's show, The Ultimatum, Queer Love, and I've got the full recap of this season. Now, I'm not going to go over every single thing that happened. We're going to just go over the reunion episode and where the contestants are now and all of that jazz. Do me a favor, follow me on Instagram at DNeals for stand-up show updates. I've got a show coming up, actually it's the end of August in Seattle, if you want to check that out, plus other local Los Angeles shows, Boston, Worcester, Hartford, Connecticut. I'll have shows coming up. So to get those announced, go to Instagram at DNeals, and every afternoon we've got the live stream. Actually, usually it's in the morning. Patreon.com/Dave Neal, and then Bachelor Rush Hour, the afternoon podcast, which ties together all of your entertainment news in one place. I'll have additional Ultimatum coverage on today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, so go check that out. All right, so Ultimatum season recap. Where are they? How does this show work? If you haven't watched and you just want to tune into my channel to get my thoughts on it, The Ultimatum essentially is a Netflix dating show that has had one member of a couple decide that the other person needs to either shit or get off the pot, as we like to say. In this case, will you pursue a marriage with me? I'm going to give you the ultimatum. Either we get married or we break up. Either we get engaged or we break up. That's the ultimatum. And in that process, they then get a chance to do a trial marriage with another different cast member. And then if that works out, then they ditch their original partner. It's messy. This season was messy. There was a lot of love that came out of this season. So where are the contestants now? We're just going to get into it. I'm going to just use this article here to cover it. Here's where the cast of The Ultimatum Queer Love is now. The participants tell Entertainment Weekly which couples broke up and who's still together after the reunion. Plus, we have a TikTok we're going to share with you that's a hard launch of which couple or part of a couple is with their new partner. All right, Ray and Lexi. And first, I'm going to give you my thoughts of each couple. I thought Lexi was very dominating of this relationship. Again, this is just from what I saw watching the show. This has nothing to do with maybe their real personality and things that were cut out. I don't know. But I always find it hard when you see someone who's young, 24 years old, to think they really know what they want out of a relationship. Because sometimes you can have that like young confidence that thinks you know what you want, and in the end, you're actually maybe blind to your own issues, which might be controlling, things like that. So either way, Ray and Lexi, their relationship, on the reunion, they talked about maybe getting engaged soon. They were going to spend time on the West Coast and on the East Coast with each other's families, move in together, this and that. Well, we find out as soon as the reunion ends that they broke up. So we're going to get into this right now. Lexi and Ray were looking forward to their upcoming wedding at Ultimatum Queer Love Reunion, but they ended their relationship after filming. They said, "We ultimately agreed that we were growing apart and that our relationship had served its purpose," Ray tells EW. Lexi explains that watching the show to prepare for the reunion made it clear that some of their issues weren't resolved, leading to their breakup. They both feel like they made the right decision and plan to use what they learned during the show in their next relationship. Ray isn't in a rush to get into another relationship, even though she has a much better idea of what she wants in a partner, while Lexi is happily dating someone. And then here's the TikTok from Lexi. Lexi Goldberg, "Never felt more alive than with you." She actually hashtagged ultimatum, but here it is when you hard launch the new boo. So there's the new boo. She's a photographer, we're told. So there they are wearing their little, fishnet outfits, doing their thing. So cool. Very nice. She's got a new partner. That's where they're at. Not people saying her rebound, guys. The show was filmed 2 years ago. Yeah, this show was filmed a while ago. When was the reunion filmed? I'm not entirely sure. But let's go back to and by the way, they had enough drama on this show for like a full season of Bachelor in Paradise, which normally has like 40 different people show up. They only had 10 people here. So 10 people. Xander and Vanessa. This was a frustrating one. So Vanessa was made out to be a villain on the show. I didn't see it. I didn't see the villain energy. Vanessa and Lexi right here tried to have a little bit of dating early on when they initially broke up in that mix, and Lexi like hard dumped Vanessa when Vanessa said, "Yeah, I just don't think I could get married," or whatever. And Lexi's like, "You're fake, you're a fraud, you're not here for the right reasons," all that type of jazz, and then really had a vendetta against Vanessa seemingly for the rest of the season, which was real childish to me. That felt like Lexi was defensive because she was getting rejected by Vanessa. And so rather than get fired, she quit. Kind of one of those deals. That's how I felt. Now, Xander and Vanessa's relationship was obviously, very complicated because when they broke up, the couple, Xander ended up with Yoli. Right? So we'll get into that in a second. Right? Do I have that right? Did I get these names confused? Since leaving the show broken up, Xander and Vanessa are still single and doing well since we last saw them at the reunion. I'm definitely open to the prospect of marriage, but still feel the same way. It would have to be a very special person, Vanessa says. Xander, who gave Vanessa the ultimatum, still wants to find the right person and start a family, everything she wanted when she joined the show. The difference is that Xander is doing it now with a better understanding of what she needs in a partner and wants out of a relationship. Xander is happy working on herself, while Vanessa has had a relationship since filming ended, but is now single and looking for the right connection with someone new. It's no secret that Vanessa clashed with several cast members, but she shares that she has bonded with Tiff since filming and continues to be friends with Aussie and Sam. Yeah, so it was interesting that Vanessa had gone no contact with Xander after their breakup because Vanessa was like begging Xander to get back together. I love you, I'm ready for you, all the things that Xander initially wanted. But at that point, Xander had already fell in love or was falling in love with someone else. And when that happens, it reshuffles the deck, as it were. And the question for Vanessa was maybe she wasn't supposed to get back with Xander, but maybe she wanted to, because sometimes we confuse wanting someone because we want them and wanting someone because we want to win and we don't want to be rejected and all of our own issues, right? So we'll get back into Vanessa and Xander more in a second. Yoli and Mal. This was a wild relationship, right? Because Yoli ends up falling in love with Xander. And even though she ends up getting engaged to Mal, there's just these moments where Mal, as she's watching it back, is thinking Yoli is breaking up with Xander, right? Mal is getting text messages from Yoli saying, don't worry about it, it's not a thing, while Yoli is in this trial marriage with Xander. And again, if you haven't watched this show, this probably is gibberish to you, but I think we're all following along here. Both Mal and Yoli are working through how they want to show up in their next relationships and what they need in a relationship. I'm single and I'm very much dating myself. Next time I'm with someone, it's going to be it, Yoli shares. So Mal related Yoli, and again, I'm going just off of my head from watching this last night, but Mal related Yoli to like a cousin in that they're still family, but you don't always like your cousins. And that's true. I have one cousin that I'm so pissed at and they have no idea. They have just like really disrespected me in a way that I'm holding a grudge, and I'm okay with that because it gives me something to do when I go home and see the family. I have a cousin I can talk shit about, right? Isn't that what family's all about? Thanksgivings are fun, but either way, Yoli here. Mal didn't know that Yoli and Xander had met up in Coachella. So Vanessa up top here, Vanessa decided to quickly let everybody know that she knew that Xander and Yoli met up at Coachella, and that pissed off Mal because she's like, oh, I never knew. We were in love. I never knew you met up in Coachella. Sure, they weren't still together at that point, but they might have been trying to communicate and rebuild that respect and trust. And then Yoli goes, oh, that's all you have, Vanessa? That's your big reveal? Well, that's the only time we met. But then Vanessa goes, yeah, but you were planning a trip to Hawaii together. And Yoli's like, what? No, we weren't. And then Vanessa's like, hey, Xander, were you planning a trip to Hawaii? And then Xander was like, well, we had talked about flights. And then Yoli was like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, boy. Interesting. All right, so now it gets a little complicated. So Tiff and Mildred. This did not end well. Let's just read what they wrote, and then I'll give you my opinion. We learned during their reunion, and there'll be a trigger warning here, domestic violence. There's going to be a trigger warning right now of domestic violence, DV, as they say. We learned during the reunion that Tiff, and Mildred broke up after getting engaged in the finale. The pair moved in together, but the fighting and issues they had on the show came back around. Mildred reveals that a fight at home got serious and led to her getting arrested. Rehashing their breakup results in Tiff bursting into tears and leaving the reunion early. Both Mildred and Tiff have been focusing on themselves since then. Tiff is attracted more gentle energies, while Mildred is focusing on her business and helping her son adapt to adult life. Marriage is not my priority in the moment. I am learning to navigate life with Tiff, Mildred says. Tiff is dating again, but is opting to keep romantic life private moving forward. Thanks to the show and a lot of reflection post-relationship, I have a much clearer sense of what kind of romantic partner I want to have in the future, Tiff shares. So there's going to be more to talk about this. Tiff has released a video sharing her side of the story. We're going to make a separate video for that, so do me a favor, hit the subscribe button to make sure you're going to get that. But we do have some comments from people. Someone said, I feel Netflix failed Tiff. According to Tiff's Instagram story, we only saw 25% of the verbal attack that Mildred unleashed on Tiff at the reunion. I think it is ethically dubious that Mildred was even invited after being arrested for DV against Tiff. Ultimately, Tiff said that they went into it open, so I guess if they were okay with it, that's the bottom line. However, allowing an abuse victim to be lambasted for minutes by their abuser is absolutely disgusting. The host sat there dumbfounded, and production just let it play out. And I don't blame the host here. The host is a prop. This isn't like a producer of the show. This is just a host they hired who's an earpiece for the producers. The host probably has an earpiece in that's literally the producers are saying, hey, let them talk, so I don't blame the host. I wonder how they can claim to be looking out for the cast's safety, psychological and otherwise, when they facilitated someone being re-traumatized. Tiff was an adult and did what was best for themselves, but in my opinion, it never should have gone to that point. Tiff deserves to be at the reunion and feel safe in the process. If I were a producer, I would have cut Mildred's audio to let Tiff respond and had security in place to escort Mildred out if she couldn't find a way to engage in a conversation instead of verbal abuse. I don't know how Tiff has silently sat on all of this for so long. I'm glad they get to tell their story now. Yeah, it was a why. And again, this is just someone's opinion. I don't know if there's more to the story that Tiff hasn't shared, but if this were a heterosexual relationship, I think we would be viewing it very differently. And it begs the question about a queer relationship that when there is DV issues, are they dealt with differently? And again, I don't know. I'm not in one, but you do want to make sure that victims are taken seriously. You do want to make sure that people are feeling safe and all these things. I can't tell you what process the producers used on the Ultimatum to ensure this, but I can tell you that Netflix has, of course, been reckless in the past. So I think that's what we have one more. Sam and Aussie. So let's go to Sam and Aussie, adorable couple. Turns out Sam and Aussie are the only couple left standing. They are still together but not married yet. While they got engaged to one another, they each had some work to do on themselves, and Sam happily shares that they are both working with amazing therapists. I've been personally learning about my own needs, desires, and discovering who I am, and to be able to speak my truth around those needs as a recovering codependent, Aussie shares. Both are looking forward to a marriage and their wedding after building a solid foundation within themselves. This relationship brought me so much heartbreak as I watched it, as we watched Sam and Aussie, and they would get in confrontations and Aussie would walk out, and she was just on thin ice all the time. But she's done such great work in figuring out her issues and figuring out how she can navigate those in a way that is healthy for her, standing up for herself and her childhood trauma and all these things. So very happy to see that if there's any couple that could make it last, it is them. We'll have more content on this. If I got any of this wrong, I'm sorry. I'm just, these recaps, I just try to give you my full thoughts and my kind of knee-jerk reaction to it all, because there's a lot of names going on and I'm trying to figure it all out. So I'm trying my best here. But let me know what you guys think. I'd love to know. I'm going to have more content up on this. Again, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram at DNeals. If you want to give a donation, you can go to patreon.com/DaveNeal for daily behind-the-scenes live streams. And every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. We started it in the fall. It's been super successful, and we enjoy doing it so much. So you can check out all of the entertainment news. If you enjoy hearing me talk, that's another place you can go get that. All right, we'll be back later with more content.